Hello, universe. All right, so it has been over a year since I've been off of all psychiatric drugs. It's now it's late May 2009, almost June. I think tomorrow's June. And I wanted to make like a 1-year follow-up video. Because I stopped making the videos every week because it sort of lost its purpose. But I thought maybe a 1-year follow-up video to say like, oh, how am I doing? Was it a good idea? Do I regret it? How do I feel? Is everything amazing? Have I fallen apart? And first off, forgive me, I sound a little bit sick. I just have not been feeling well this week, and then on top of it, I flew across the country and got jet lagged. But I've been wanting to make this video, and so we're just doing it. So first off, don't regret at all going off psychiatric drugs. I would not say that, oh my God, life is amazing. I would also say that it's definitely not true that life has fallen apart being off of them. It almost, in a way, when I quit drinking, I remember thinking like, oh my God, life will get amazing if I'm not, and it didn't really. And quitting smoking weed, the same thing, like life didn't magically just become amazing. It wasn't like the secret to mass success and wealth and all these things. It's like, I think these are like one piece of the large puzzle of life and living like a happy, healthy, fulfilled life. No individual piece of it is the big secret. But I think as you get rid of these little pieces of it, allows you to more clearly see what you do need to work on, and maybe it allows you to move into those things and work on them. So like in the last year since I've been off psych drugs, I have not had any psychosis or psychotic episodes. I haven't dived into any deep depressions, though there have been times when I have like these short, one day, like really like, it's like an energized depression maybe, where I feel like, I'm so uncomfortable, I got to do something. It's not like I'm laying around doing that. It's like I need to do something about it, which is actually a little bit more concerning. If you're energized and depressed, those are actually when people get themselves into some trouble, because if you're just laying around on the couch doing nothing, it's sad and it's lonely, and I'm not dismissing it, but you don't really get yourself into trouble, so to speak, but you can get yourself into some trouble if you're feeling really, really depressed and you're really energized. I have had a couple times where, people in some of these videos, I think I've talked about like kombucha, and I find that's a crutch at times. I don't know if it's because there's a small amount of alcohol in it, or if it's the caffeine or sugar, but it has a slightly addictive nature, certainly less destructive in my life than alcohol or weed was, or anything like that. But it's something I noticed, like this feeling of craving a thing to consume, to calm me or alter my state in some way. There've been a couple times that I'll confess or bring up that I used CBD, which is like the non-psychoactive version of cannabis. So they have like these, it's like infused in all different kinds of foods. But there's twice that come to mind, where I took like a bunch of CBD and basically like made me feel really weird, and I went to sleep, and it was very much like escapism. Yeah, it was, I guess not super harmful or anything, but like I know in like my heart and in my soul or whatever, I was using it to like escape and to go to sleep and to not feel whatever I was feeling. I remember one of the times was last summer when I was doing this comedy tour, and one of the shows I did, and 0 people came, and I guess that was worse than bombing, because I bombed and it didn't happen. But nobody came, and it felt like big failure or something like that. And I remember just kind of wanting to go to sleep, to not feel what I was feeling and think the things I was thinking, and like, had like a bunch of this like CBD oil that I'd made into some tea. And then another time was actually very recently. And I don't know exactly what it was I was feeling. But I think I was just overwhelmed. I went through a bunch of issues lately with people on the internet bashing me and saying really mean things about me and negative stuff related to some comedy I had done 5 years ago, and it really hurt. Like, it was really, really, it really hurt. And it's weird that it was sort of after all of it had passed that I don't know if it was related to that or also like thinking about this summer's comedy tour. I don't know. It's ultimately, it's not about people talking about me on the internet, or it's not about the comedy per se. It's this overwhelming feeling of like not being good enough or not belonging or feeling, sorry, I'm like starting to sweat. It's fucking hot and I didn't expect that. Or not being good enough, or needing, or feeling like this need to create or produce or perform in some way to like prove my worthiness to the world, or to prove that I'm a good person, or that and yeah, there's it's like, are you creating and working out of enthusiasm or out of like some fear? And I think, and I haven't watched all the videos, but I feel like it's super exposing, because I know in like these videos I've made that I'm constantly talking about work and projects and creations and these things in such an obsessive way that you know, for me, that's an issue that, you know, I've got to I got to figure out and address, because it gets in the way of life, you know. Because life really is about the connections that you make, and the meaning you bring to life, and not the things you create and produce. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think the things you create and produce are amazing and they're great. It's not to take them away, but you can live a perfectly happy and satisfying life without focusing everything on your accomplishments and achievements. So that's something I still got to work on. You know, that hasn't happened overnight. I haven't just magically gotten better. I'm, you know, it's still a work in progress, you know. So if you think that going off of your psych drugs is going to magically make everything better, it won't. But things won't magically get horrible either. But now you could begin to live and know, like, this is real. This is real life. And what I'm feeling is real, and it's normal for whatever my circumstance and environment and life experience and everything is. It's whatever's supposed to be happening. And so yeah, I don't know when I'll post these, if I'll wait another year. I'm nervous about putting this up on YouTube. It feels like so much of myself is out in these videos that I want to share this with people, because I think that someone out there will benefit from it. Yet at the same time, I don't want people to see it who aren't watching this stuff for that purpose, you know? I don't want this to be accessible just to the whole world. And maybe because I got some of these people who are like trying to pick apart and find bad things about me to badmouth me, or like, it's pretty vulnerable and exposing to share this. And so I want this to be available to anyone that needs it, but not to just the world. And I don't know how to do that in the middle. I mean, I know there's ways, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I could have it like unlisted, but still people could get it. I could say, oh, you must contact me for past, people could still get it. And so that's tough. That's like fucking hard to know, like, that someone will benefit from this. Not everybody, you know, but some people will. And fuck, it's tough to put yourself out there like this. But all right, that's enough. Cool. If you've watched along in this journey, thanks for doing so. Bye. A few more things I wanted to mention. When I made that video, I think I felt rushed the other day, because it was hot in the car, and like there was this woman outside looking at me and stuff. And but to kind of talk a little bit about the things that I've been doing that have been helpful or that haven't been working. So, you know, I know in a lot of the videos I talked about being pretty consistent and regular with a yoga practice. And I actually fell out of that practice late fall. So shortly after I stopped making my weekly videos, I fell out of that practice. I got really busy and I was traveling a bit and staying with a girlfriend. And I think it just fallen out of a consistent routine and not having like space and I don't know, making like maybe excuses and that kind of thing. But I just fell out of it. I think part of it was it became like more intense and harder to keep up with as I went to like that advanced class. All of a sudden, instead of it being like a 20-minute thing in the morning, 30-minute thing in the morning, it turned into like an hour. And instead of like just backing off, I ended up completely dropping the practice. So now I'm starting to get back into something a little more casual, build some consistency. Also, sleep has been tough. Like the first week I was off meds, I had a horrible time sleeping. And then, when I went to Ireland, that time zone change messed me up a bit. But for the most part, I was sleeping pretty well. And then last summer, I got like really anxious or nervous about doing those comedy shows, and I'd have trouble sleeping. And then lately, like the past week or two, I've been having a lot of trouble sleeping. And so, oftentimes I'll take, and now I think it's a little bit of a blend of comedy stuff. And also, I was out in California filming a project, and just too many like racing thoughts and nervousness and anxieties at night, and maybe not enough exercise during the day to tire me down. And it's been tough. And sometimes I take Benadryl to fall asleep, which isn't, I don't like taking a sleeping pill or something like that. I do realize and identify that's an issue if I'm taking like a pill to fall asleep. It's not good. So everything's not like perfect, but I'm it's pretty good, and I'm still happy with the decision to go off the meds. I'm really like trying to make friends and realize like I got these discomforts of, I don't want to say like being vulnerable or being weak or just putting myself out there. Like it's so easy to stop doing something. Like, not to say it's easier to stop doing something than to start. So like quitting drinking, quitting smoking, not eating meat, like removing things is easy because you just remove something, but adding in good habits, like putting myself out there more, being more comfortable, talking to people, making friends, inviting people to do stuff, and that is trickier for me. So I'm kind of working on that. And I find too, like I'm back in Connecticut right now. I just got back from, I mentioned the California trip, and I grew up here, and I found that, I don't know if it's the culture here or just the fact that I grew up here. I don't know that it's, if I grew up anywhere else, maybe it'd be the same. But I feel even more challenge in being more self-conscious here. And a lot of times I blame Connecticut for being this like judgmental place, which it certainly is. But I don't know if it's like that or if it's just kind of these like feelings that I've got that I can't quite seem to shake. But it was a challenge. I mean, I'm 33 and still dealing with this stuff, and kind of laugh that like this is shit that you should get over by the time you're like out of your teens. But for whatever reason, that's where I'm at, and I sometimes think that there must be something wrong with me if I'm still dealing with this stuff and that. But I don't know if that's the case. I think that probably a lot of people deal with it. People just don't talk about it. It doesn't mean that like everybody's dealing with it, but we don't talk about it. But probably more than we realize. But yeah, I don't know that maybe I'll make another video like another year later. Still don't know when I'll post these, or I think I will. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and what feels right. And I still haven't like written up my story for Mad in America's, psych survivor stories, and maybe when I do that, I will. But yeah, all right. So that's